Howdy, folks. I'm fixing to tell y'all about Texas, nicknamed the Lone Star State.
I'm particularly fond of these. I pulled them out of a place on Midgard called Texas.
Don't mess with Texas?
That's the message.
I'm Walker, and I'm Texas Ranger.
Taxi, I mean, anything for Salinas.
Welcome to this week's episode of Texas Slang for Crazy. This week we're discussing the Catfish Plantation in Waxahachie. If you hear any weird noises, doors creaking, things being pulled, my phone gets headbutted, something like that happens, don't be afraid, it's not ghosts. It's just my cat Nemo, who's decided to join me in the recording studio, which is also known as my walk-in closet. If you're a fan of fried catfish and strange spirits, we've got a heck of a place for you to check out. The Catfish Plantation in Waxahachie looks like a sweet old house turned restaurant, and in part it is. By all accounts, the food is great and the staff is friendly. Most come for the food, but if you take a quick look at ghost hunter websites and YouTube videos, you're going to see a little bit of a darker side. The Catfish Plantation home at 814 Water Street was built in 1895. Over several years, many people lived and died in the home. In 1984, the house had been empty for several years. Finding the location charming, Tom and Melissa Baker decided to turn the home into a restaurant. They got the keys to the home and began to convert it. But not long after purchasing the property, they realized they weren't the only presence in the home. Per the restaurant's website, Melissa came in one day to find a large tea urn with neatly stacked coffee cups in the middle of the floor. It was most definitely not where she had left it the night before. Maybe as an apology, another time she came in to find her morning coffee already freshly brewed for her. The owners have seen a fry basket and french fries levitating in the kitchen, glowing blue lights in empty rooms, and the figure of a ghost bride standing in the window. Knives go missing pretty much every night, and almost every staff member has at least one story or some sort of experience. In 2007, the Bakers sold the restaurant to Richard and Ann Landis, who have also had their share of experiences. Thanks to a great deal of investigators and mediums visiting the home, a few specific ghosts have made themselves known. Medium Dwana Paul, The Travel Channel, A Current Affair, Rick Moran from DAPS, and others have had investigations done there. Many of the ghosts in the home are said to have both lived and died in the house. This is true for seemingly all but Lola B. Roller, a young woman murdered nearby in a jealous rage. I'll make sure to put her picture on the website from the local paper and also on our Instagram. There is a male ghost who likes to play with female guests by touching their knees when they're wearing shorts or playing with long hair. Caroline, of whom a picture still hangs in the restaurant, is a previous owner who sees herself as still in charge and is not too happy with people falling asleep on the job. She's been known to slam doors to wake people up. There are ghost cats that seem to sleep where they like, and ghosts that interact with kitchen staff during rush times, which can be a bit frustrating for hungry customers. If you've ever listened to the other podcast I work on, Unfortunately Required Reading, you'll know Amanda pretty well. My co-host had a first-hand experience with the Catfish Plantation as a child. I will link to the full story in our show notes, but here's a piece of it. Per Amanda, the restaurant prided itself on being extremely haunted, and my dad, being the large Southern skeptic he was, decided that this would be the perfect place to take his wife and young daughter. I couldn't have been more than 8 or 9. It was late, later than we normally had dinner, since the drive back from the middle of nowhere, Texas, took a couple of hours at least, and where we were going was sort of the middle point. I had no interest in this allegedly haunted eatery. I just wanted my chicken fingers and sleep and probably my Game Boy. Naturally, since this was a haunted establishment, there was a long and overdone tour at the time. My mother was somewhat interested since she loved history, and my dad was somewhat interested since he was the one who had the brilliant idea and had a point to prove. I couldn't be bothered. I was bored to tears the entire time. There was this woman behind me who seemed fixated with my hair. She didn't say much. She was, well, tall to me. I didn't reach over 5 feet until I was 13. She was pale and her clothes looked funny to me. So the little bit of interest that I had in the ghost-infested fish house was dampened by the fact that there was a woman who kept bothering me. She looked mean. She kept looking at me like I shouldn't be there. The tour group wasn't very large, but it did seem to go on forever in between mentions of how quality the catfish was. The overly enthusiastic tour guide continued to prattle on about how bad slavery was, which I knew because we were African American, and that was just before the battles really got down to business in the state. The slaves rebelled and took revenge against a master and his wife, all while the same woman continued to leer at me, and now it started to touch my hair, which my mother had so expertly braided into twin pigtails. After what seemed like hours of enduring this, I finally snapped and shooed a hand away from me. My dad immediately reprimanded me. My mother followed up and said I was being rude. But I told him the truth. There was a woman in the tour group and she wouldn't leave me alone. There was a woman bothering me, and when my parents asked who it was, I pointed up and they saw nothing. They saw no one there. There wasn't anyone there. Congratulations, the tour guide beamed. Your daughter has met the mistress of the house. She's been dead for over 100 years. Sean Sparks, the head chef, stated on CBS Dallas in 2016 that, quote, "We don't own the Catfish Plantation. We take care of the Catfish Plantation. It's an entity all to itself," end quote. If you're going to check out the Catfish Plantation, just remember they're open for dinner Wednesday through Sunday and lunch only on the weekends. They do offer ghost hunters a chance to come in, but you do have to be an expert group and you do have to contact them in advance. You can visit their website at thecatfishplantation.com. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to rate and subscribe, and find us at txslangforcrazy.com, txslangforcrazy on Instagram, and Texas Slang for Crazy on Facebook. Thanks so much and have a great week.